So Google Calendar, we're going to take a look at how to create an event. And I can tell you, as you can see from my calendar, I do use it quite a bit. I think I like a lot of the Google things and how they function and what they do, but the calendar makes me maybe the happiest because personally, I forget things. I forget things all the time. I can tell you right now, looking at Monday, I have reminders set up here to call Marcos to order pizza for our mock trial meeting. I also sent myself a reminder to get candy for prizes. Without these reminders, there's absolutely no way I would have remembered to call Marcos to have the pizza ready for Tuesday or to get candy for prizes for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now I have the calendar synced up with my phone so that I get reminders. I have it set so that at 3 o'clock, I got a little reminder, pops up on my phone, says, hey, get candy for prizes. I literally live by this. This helps me out so much. So I definitely recommend if you are not using Google Calendar, you definitely should start. In terms of organizing my life, it helps me remember everything from those 7 a.m. meetings that I will totally forget about without this, to remembering to pick things up after school or whatever. So let's take a look at how you create an event here. We go up to the Create button. We're going to add a title. Let's call this PD Practice. Okay. I'm going to leave this as an event. I'm going to change the date to, let's make the date, I'll need to double check these things probably on Thursday when we get back from break, so I'll set the date for that day. You can see in the background to automatically change my calendar to that day. In terms of calendar, I'm going to keep it on my work calendar. Now, oftentimes when I'm at home, I'll add things to my personal calendar or to my daughter's calendar so I know what type of activity she's up to. But we'll keep that on my work calendar. Now, this is a real quick and dirty. I want to put something in quick for a certain time period. If I want to add more information to this, I can certainly do that just by going to More Options. Okay, for more options, we have a number of new features available now. One is we can change, make it an all-day event. We can make the event repeat. So I can make this event repeat every week on Thursday. And in fact, I set up a little calendar for myself that every Friday that is a payday, it's a recurring thing, so I know what days are paydays and what days aren't, just by looking at my calendar, which of course I can access from anywhere. I can come in here and I can change the time. Now, if you look at these times, they're pretty preset. In my settings, I actually have them set for every half hour. You can change those settings, but most importantly, like if I change this to 10:30, I can go in here, move my cursor around, and I can make it whatever time I want. It could be 10:05. It can make it at 10:06. I know oftentimes we have meetings or period schedules that have odd times like 9:14 or 9:32 or whatever. You can set those specific things in. And if you notice too, it keeps making changes over here as well. In the settings, I have it set up so that every event I make defaults to an hour, because generally things that I do tend to be an hour long. That being said, I can still go and change this. Let's say maybe it's an hour and 10 minutes. There we go. So you can totally customize that. Your time zones, I'm sure, are already set. I have mine set to Eastern. I can change the date. I can make this an event over time. So this takes place over the course of a week. Let's see what that does. So January 3rd to January 8th. Now in my calendar, you'll see the PD practice. It's stretching over the cross these days, and it should end on the 8th. There it is. We'll go ahead and click on this, and we want to edit the event some more. So I'm going to change this back to the 3rd because I really just want a reminder on that day. Location. I don't always put a location in, but it is a handy feature, especially if you have Google Calendar synced to your phone, because what you will get is you'll get not only a reminder that, hey, you have trivia, at TDs at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. It'll also give you traffic advisories if I put that in there. So let's say this PD practice is going to be at Hoover High School. We'll go ahead and add that. Notice how it auto-completed for me. I typed it in. In fact, I'll do that again so we can get a look at it. I type in Hoover. And then I get a bunch of options. Obviously, I want the high school. because that's where I'll be. Now, if I weren't at the high school, let's say I was at the middle school, and I had this practice at 10:06 on Thursday, January 3rd, it would give me a real quick, this will take you 5 minutes to get there because of traffic, or you need to I'll get a reminder that says you need to leave by such and such a time in order to be there on time. I really like those. Those are super, super handy, especially because Google is actually pretty good with their traffic advisories. So they know that, there's a lot of traffic. It's going to take you a little longer. You need to leave earlier. So super handy. I definitely add this to things when I actually have to go somewhere that's not just at work. So down here, we're not going to look at the video conferencing feature. I can set my reminders. I set mine for email 10 minutes before the event. You can change that. You can make it hours, days, weeks, whatever makes you happy. Sometimes it seems kind of silly for the weeks, but sometimes if I know I have an event coming up, like maybe a training or something like that, I'll set a reminder for 2 weeks before. It says, hey, have you gone over your things? Have you re-practiced everything? Do your links still work? So those are kind of handy to get those reminders a couple weeks in advance. I also have the notifications set, so I get an email and I get a notification. I like both. The notification comes to my phone, generally 10 minutes before the event. And again, I can change that if I want more heads up. Now, for this particular event, I'll be at school. I really only need a 10 minutes heads up because I'm already here. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down. I can change the color of my event. Now, for my work calendar, everything is green. For some of my other calendars, if you'd noticed when we looked at them, there are other colors. So I have them color-coded so I can see right away, oh, it's a gold event. That's Madison's calendar. Or it's a blue event. I know that is a totally other calendar. If we keep going down here, I can put in notes. Like on a day like today, right now, where it's an exam day, what I'll do is I'll put in the exam, whatever exam it's going to be, whatever day it is, whatever period. And below, I'll have the exam schedule. I also like to do this for pep rallies. When we have an adjusted schedule for pep rallies, I'll put the first 4 period schedule at the bottom, so that not only am I going to get a reminder in my email and on my phone that, hey, there's a pep rally, which is really nice because for whatever reason, sometimes I forget. And it's nice to get that little reminder in the morning, hey, there's a pep rally today. So I know that my periods are going to be off a little bit, and this pops right up. I can see the schedule without having to go dig through my email for it, and I'm ready to go. So I can just add a little note in there. I can copy and paste the pep rally information or whatever I want. I can also attach a document. If I click on attach, this dialog box comes up. And first off, it's going to ask me if I want to attach things that I've worked on today. So that's pretty nice, pretty fast. I can go through my Google Drive and find things. So that's what I'm going to do here. Let's go take a look in my Google Drive. And I'm going to attach the Task 6 practice assignment that you're going to have to play with here in a little bit. So once I've picked the thing I want, I click on it, I select, and now that document is attached there. I can attach a document. Any Google product really can be attached there. Super duper handy, especially if you have maybe you're going to attach a flyer or a lesson you're going to do. You want to remind yourself to do something. You can type up a full on document for that. Other great things we can do here, I can add guests. Now, when I do mock trial, oftentimes I'll put a calendar update for mock trial, and I'll add Mr. Campanero as my guest so that he also gets this on his calendar, so it just instantly adds to it. In fact, personally, this is like my personal side note, I think it would be great. I know Tiffany Walker does this a lot for the English department. She adds things, adds it to us, we accept the invitation, and it adds directly to our calendar. I think we should all do that all the time, because to me, especially for things like pep rallies, man, it would be really nice if I just could accept the invitation, it adds it directly to my calendar, and then I don't have to go do it myself. Maybe that's laziness talking, but it would be pretty cool. Now here, I can also let my guests modify an event. I can let them invite others. I can let them see who else has been invited. That's totally, I can give them those options, or I could take those options away as well. Okay, something we really don't want to overlook with Google Calendar. With the Google apps for education and all of the Google products, one of the beautiful things when it first came out was that it auto-saved. Having Google Docs that auto-saved, or PowerPoints, Google Slides, or whatever that auto-saved was magical. It really was. With your calendar, though, you need to manually go and save once you've made all of your changes. So do not forget that. Don't try and click off the screen, because it will not save your information. I've done that before, and it's maddening. It can be really maddening. Let's take a look at this January 3rd thing here. This is kind of like a common mistake that I've made, probably because I'm just not paying attention. But sometimes I'll be over here and I'll be looking and I'm like, oh man, I really need to schedule this thing for March. So I'm like, okay, so March, let's say it's March 2nd. Okay, so March 2nd, I've got Saturday school. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on my calendar. So I'll go over here and I'll double click to put this on my March 2nd calendar. And if you notice, even though let's go back to it, March 2nd, I was looking over here, this has not changed. This is still January over on this side. So I'm actually about to add the event to January 2nd, which is 100% not what I want to do. I've done that a lot. I don't know. I just need to pay more attention, but that's something to keep an eye out for. When you move the calendar on this area over here, let me kind of put my little red cursor there, it does not change on this side. So you have to be careful that you do not, let me go ahead and fix that mistake, make that mistake, which I have made many and many a times. And if you notice here, I think I showed you how to use Create. You can also, we're January 3rd here again. I could just double click and that pops right up. My Create event also pops up. Just like everything else with the Google stuff, there are a ton of different ways that you can access the tools and resources here.